It definitely titillates the imagination, if you will.
Titillate. There's another one, but I like it because it's got the word
What's the
tit
actual
in it,
word?
and it means what you think it would mean when you hear titillating.
You know what? I really hope that's how the conversation went. When that one
Speaking
got
of
put in the dictionary.
breastfeeding, how old is too old?
Oh, well played. Well played.
Zingers, kids.
Hey.
Zingers are on the menu tonight.
Well done. You saw that cover. What was your first thought about just the whole thing of just like what's your first instinctive reaction to
Walk
that
us
Time
through,
magazine
if
cover?
you will.
Okay, my first
front cover.
instincts. I am a Time subscriber, and yeah.
Oh,
mhm,
okay.
Yeah.
They still exist. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why she's on that inside track of
I like
what is
it.
a
I like it.
magazine. Amy's got that real first-hand resentment.
I thought, well, you know what? They're a magazine. They need to put something on the cover in order to get people to talk about them
Right,
for the
right.
first place. And number two, her tit, her call. I don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't care. And
Okay.
I know I know that is considered shocking,
Right.
but it's also not the most offensive thing that's ever been on Time magazine because P.S.
Yeah.
Sarah Palin has been on the cover a million times. So some pretty
Run,
lady
tell
is
that.
out there showing her tit with her kid. I don't give two shits.
Now here's the point like the first thing was, oh yeah, they just need to sell magazines,
Yeah.
which is your point, Mitch. The debate is irresponsible, which is central to my thesis,
That's
which
fair.
is the fourth estate, the traditional media in this country, has failed in its role. Which is his whole thing is the conversation sucks. Why does the conversation suck? Because the institutions in charge of having a better conversation don't give a fuck about conversations. They give a fuck about enabling people who are like, I got a blog and I want to fucking show me breastfeeding my kid on the magazine.
And I'm all for
And
her.
she should
Go
be able
do
to
your
go do your thing. But if I ran
Exactly.
Time magazine, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. I want to have a serious conversation about why we don't have maternity leave. And you wouldn't have a cover with that if that was your conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like she can, like, you know what? Who
We
gives
never
a shit?
talk about the right things.
Right? We
You
never
know,
talk,
the
and
right
it's like
things.
it's always Time's fault. Like all the blame is on Time
That's
magazine.
why we got
here.
this podcast.
I don't blame-
When we talk about the
Exactly.
right fucking thing.
And I don't blame them. They're trying to stay relevant, you know?
Yeah.
Put something on there because people are
Right.
going to talk
so
about
then,
it.
okay, we don't
you
blame
know?
Time. Then who do we blame? Who is
You
Time?
can blame Time. I'm not blaming, but you can blame
Well,
him.
who you gonna blame if you don't blame Time? Because who's Time trying to stay relevant to? That's what I'm asking you, sister.
I mean, it's a
Who's shucking and jiving you when you shucking and
It's a
jiving?
multifaceted system of blame. Right,
Terrible.
when you get down to it.
It is
but at the same time, I don't think that we're the only ones having this sub conversation. And for that, I say, hey, whatever gets people talking.
No, that's the shitty part about it, bro. Because what gets people
And also-
talking doesn't get them talking about the right thing. That shit is a cop-out, son.
I've also heard a number of people in recent days, recent weeks. I've heard both sides. It's actually two sides of the exact same argument. Both sides of the same argument are fucking she's breastfeeding, right? And then there's some side of that exact argument, or some part of that argument rather. There are the people who are like, yeah, I tried to breastfeed in public, and it felt like I was trying to steal a Snickers bar. Like everybody's staring at me. I got to put a blanket over his head. I don't know if is he too hot under there? Is he gonna suffocate? He or she? So that's that kind of thing. And then there's other people who either aren't parents, never breastfed, whatever, that just go, yeah, who gives a fuck? You're breastfeeding. And so those two groups of people are on the same side. So there's only one other side, which is, ew, stop that. And I feel like if the debate regarding that Time magazine cover becomes, hey, everybody, it's breastfeeding, chill the fuck out,
Right.
then fucking
Right,
kudos.
exactly. Yes. If that ends up being the end result, then I think that's a step. That's a good step.
I'll give you that as a fair point.
That doesn't excuse that they are, in a weird sort of way, they were trying to sort of sexualize it, which is like fucked up and wrong. Because there's just nothing, as much as like I love titties, don't get me wrong. But like a titty breastfeeding, you gotta cut that out. You gotta be like, that's a different kind of titty.
That's the same titty, Mitch. Mitch, that's the same titty. I mean, I think everyone.
No,
on
but
this
I'm
side of
saying
the table
during
knows
the
it's
act of
same-
breastfeeding, that's not the titty that I'm not, breastfeed. You know what I mean? You gotta let that
It's
happen.
not some sort of Stephen Hawking universe that happens with.
No,
You know,
say that's nature,
That's not
right?
What he's saying is a feeding titty isn't the kind of titty that gets him hard. That's not the kind of titty he's
I mean,
into.
I
You
understand
shouldn't be.
that.
You
You
shouldn't be
understand.
jerking off to that. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to pick
Don't
What I'm
sexualize.
trying to do is take the elevator down in the
Right,
inception
right,
that is Mitch's
right.
mind. Start knocking down.
I mean, again,
By the
I love
Aztec.
titties. You know,
I
what I
am
mean,
the
I
Ellen Page
appreciate.
inside of his Leonardo DiCaprio mind right now when it comes to, I'm in that bottom floor, and I'm like, it's the same titty, Mitch. He's like, get out of here. You're not supposed to be here.
I saw Maul in there. She's one angry bitch.
I saw the same titty. He was like, no.